Call order September to be. This is the our minutes, August 1 meeting. Next order of business is the recommendation for the short-term rental to the council review. Any questions? And also, also point here is finding the definitions. So we didn't understand we're not really changing anything of substance, simply trying to make the ordinance more usable by facilitating somebody who's looking at the term short-term rentals.
No.
Yes. Because short-term rentals
Yeah.
short-term rentals.
But he just said we already are. And the truth is that we weren't.
Oh, in fact, enforcement might not have been occurring, but the legislation was in place. Anything that is a short-term rental.
I disagree with you.
Look at the definition of bed and breakfast.
We are.
You're speaking to the third.
I know, that's what I said.
He doesn't listen.
Disagree with you, but I'm not going to argue with you because there's no need.
But what?
The fact that the legislation was in place. The legislation wasn't in place. Short-term rentals were not covered in our ordinance until we tagged them onto bed and breakfast.
We're not redefining short-term rentals. We're simply encompassing them within bed and breakfast. We're defining. They were defined. So previously, if you were running something like the guys running down here in Royal Oaks, if you had looked at the definition of bed and breakfast, you would have said, oh, that's a bed and breakfast. It requires a conditional use permit. That's what you know. I'll agree with Dan. I hear what you're saying, but I would disagree. That's the reason why we're closing. Because don't think that what's going on down there with Dolphins is they're not there. It doesn't. Definition of bed and breakfast does not require that you serve breakfast. But for the common man who can make pay, I'm not running a bed and breakfast. I'm not there. I'm not there taking care of them. I'm not feeding for breakfast. This is something. I'm not sure I can call that Steve. Instead of bed and breakfast. If you looked up Steve, it would have said that thing that's going on down there in the world is Steve. Is Steve. And Steve must have a conditional use. I never liked Steve. That was what went on day one. Yeah. Is that kind of activity, we don't require that you serve breakfast to be called a bed and breakfast. A B&B in Calvert City
is,
Yeah.
definition.
And I think we all agree with, it, but we could see there being some ambiguity in that, where that
It's just difficult to find.
Steve's attorney could argue with our attorney and say, well, that's not what I'm doing.
I'll take it.
But
Send him on.
what we're trying to do is close that gap so that we can give you more ammunition so that we can.
Right, and that is the point, is that if somebody's looking, if somebody has the term short-term rentals in their mind.
Yeah.
And they're looking for those, they might not think to look under bed and breakfasts. They might stop at short-term rentals and they go, because I regulate. Yeah, they are. So looking now. Qualifies as a bed and breakfast, and I gotta have an individual use permit.
So can we make the police that's over here go ahead and
Maybe condition expert. Yeah, I think John's actually, John, I don't know if he has, either has or is about to send them a notice of violation because they're operating in B and B without a conditional use permit, and it's only. So, send them notification. Yeah, avoid. Required to. Not re- or responding items, but it doesn't matter. Or
Right.
say it requires-
I have communication with him. And the number of Airbnb, and tell him that he's not. They'll get hold of it.
And. Go to court.
Thank you. The DBA has. So us, and we send this over.
Yeah.
Once you take boxes, it really. So, but yes, the enforcement is underway. Even without this being in place, enforcement is underway.
Well, that answers your question.
Sure. Like I said, it wouldn't matter whether we call it one or.
Holes. The recommendation, do I hear a motion? Send it to the. Or opposed on that side? Yep. All you got? Oh, just new business, Bob.
It is actually a business. It's mostly a continuation of the talk. I agree with what you did. Don't get me wrong. It needs to go over, it needs to be fine. But the other parts you need to be thinking about that, they're actually the restrictions should be in subdivisions or your R1 districts for this thing. There needs to be some work, wording put in to get that done, so it won't be. So if you look,
To know what?
Basically make it.
It's just-
One releases, some visions are. Some. There's reason that we went through the reasons last time, Greg wasn't here, but there's a lot of reasons that in my mind and a lot of my neighbors that it shouldn't be allowed in the subdivision. Myself, and I'll go by again, that I would not have built in there. I would not have built by business, and that's what it is. It is strictly a business. And I did a little research and looked around in big cities, little cities and stuff. You pull up Airbnb, Airbnb and our bed and breakfast or whatever it comes up. The first thing it'll tell you is see your zoning, to come see because of the restrictions and everything. I noticed Louisville's just increased their restriction. One of the reasons is permitting. That the Louisville's getting a little tighter. I got about a $560 file fee annually for Airbnb, and some of them's got $200 annual. But they're taxing. But my deal is it's not the taxes that we're looking at everything, but really what it does to these communities, in these subdivisions, which are small communities and neighbors, and get through there. They're just like extended families and everything. Mine, the traffic flow and stuff, because everything is a problem. And it will be. And plus I want to know who my neighbor is. As I said before, he may rent it for a year. I may wish he was short. But at least I know who he is. I may know where my drill's at if it's missing. But we don't know who's coming in and out of this in our backyards. That's what we're talking about. But the conversation needs to be extended on about the restriction in these R1 districts. I built an R1 district because it's supposed to be the most restricted in this town. And the investment that I made was to protect that investment. I could have lived on a county, I could have had a dog thing beside me, I could have had anything. I went to an R1 in Calvert City and pay their taxes and do that for the security and the restriction in that area. And that's why I'm saying that I don't like being pitted against my neighbor. He shouldn't. I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with him personally. I have a problem with the business being next to my house. And it's a business. They can say whatever they want. They can do that short term. But a rental like that is a business. It should be subject to all forms of the business, to the taxes, the extra garbage, the whole thing, and it should not be in a residential district, especially in R1. There are places in Calvert that should be, that would work. There's some down here in the commercial area. There's some in, maybe an open highway type where you don't have none whatsoever concept of any control of privacy or anything in the area of that. But I wasn't built on a highway either, but that's what I want to do, is just to extend the conversation past this thing here. That y'all, would be, talking about, looking at it where there is places that should be or should not be at all, even to start off with a hearing. Now, of course, I'm gonna show at the hearing probably maybe a lot of my neighborhood, but it's not really that there feels that group feels the same as I do, that it does not belong in that neighborhood.
Can I make a suggestion to you?
Yep.
Yeah. I would be careful in just saying generally business. Because like you say, if it's a business, we have a million business. So like, if you want to be more specific.
You have 15 more.
I'm just saying,
There's some of the mowing business may not belong in our
yeah,
district. you can turn around and we say business, and when I sat right where he said, and I sat on the board of zoning too. And even like when they come in and they look, they don't have seen anything listed. We went to similar to, if it didn't really match, we didn't issue anything until we put it in the listing. Mowing things, the stuff, business, babysittings, everything, they look for the fit.
Right, I'm just saying.
It's type of business and looking for fit. A lot of home office people, yeah, they're doing business in their yard, but they don't affect it. They've been our neighbors for years. It's not a transit in there. And this, most of that I've seen on the listing there, it's transit taxes. Whether it's coming in and leaving, going in, that's the ones that were pretty stiff and they were controlling them. I even found one, forgot where it was. The conversation went where they had put it in where there's no rentals in their subdivision. No rentals. Even a single practical rental is because they were wanting families that come in and stay and create, stay in the family. I think that's way stiff. I see, long-term rentals and stuff, you either create or have a good neighbor could be the best one you have, that's in there. But short-term, where they change in and out, they don't know the traffic pattern, they don't know where the kids are walking, they don't know where the stuff at. That is most of our concern, is the kids that are transport back and forth and do around that you come in. But I think the conversation just needs to be extended on and look at these areas. I do know that that's the first step. Don't just do what the first step you need to do. But I found it odd. I didn't say it here, but there was two couples at the place, and I was down working on trees and stuff in there, and they were over, the grass was really wet, they were practicing their golf. I said, I told them, you're welcome to go over and, mind, kid, I don't really care. And she was started talking. She said, I'm real surprised this is in here. She said, and I told her, she was surprised that the Airbnb is in this subdivision. She said, I sure wouldn't want it in mine. She was the renter. They rented it that night and thought it was a lovely place, but she didn't feel like it involved and would be in her backyard. And that's before I ever said, I said, well, she said, how'd they ever get there? I said, I don't know, government loose law, and I didn't go into the deal that I'm way against it and everything. I don't have anything to do with them. They were very pleasant, and it wasn't that. It said, I don't know the next ones. They are. That's what we're getting at. We do not know, and we made our investment at this spot, to be there, to stay and create. And I worked not only on this place, but every business I tried to be a good neighbor, whether it's a business neighbor or that or community. But I still believe that the reason that bed and breakfast is to me and everything, they take up a spot for a family, but they don't put, these things, these short-term rentals, they don't put bodies in churches, kids in schools, people on the, civic, that's involved in your civic organization. That's what our town, that's what binds us town together, is our churches and our civic organization and everything. And short-term rentals don't really support that. They just sort of use they just use what the taxpayers pay for. And that's really all I've got. I mean, I'll if you have some questioning on my thought or have some other things in it, I would love to hear, love to hear it. I take any kind of criticism or criticism, anything that might help me. Maybe I'm seeing something. I'll take the questions.
Questions for Bob?
Take stay position real quick.
I mean, that's all it is. It's just a matter of. It's, everything changes. Next thing could be a big old parlor. You know, hey, we addressed the pinball machines in the market for the focus of there. You know, they wouldn't allow pinball machines in.
Bob, one thing I'll mention, you just bear in mind. For one, in the city encompasses more than subdivision. That's our problem.
Saying, I don't really know.
So, and again, that's why we're going is
Good start.
probably the clearest we've got to be able to manage it, yet not to cut off our nose and spite our face. So we're not against you. Bear that in mind. We're not against you. We're trying to work with you as best we can.
I understand that R1 doesn't, you know, it does encompass, but there is a, you know, we've got R2s. We do not have that many R1 districts.
That's right.
We do not have that many
That's
R1
right.
districts.
That's right.
You know, they are the most restricted on there. And they're, you know, we do not have, I mean, you look at that map right there, which is old, if I'm not mistaken. Haven't y'all updated since then and then? If you look at this one here, you know, we have a R1 district where we're at in there, and you don't see another R1. That's another subdivision.
Right.
That's another two subdivisions, so, and probably some of the higher price real estate. But our R1 district has been the most, it has had the most construction and new growth in that thing. And it's because of the type of community it is.
Honestly, this is that's not even subdivision.
We don't have, I mean, you don't really have a subdivision, and that subdivision restriction, you as a lawyer, just think how great that is. One person, you know, it's like the HOA, you know, one person in that subdivision restriction can not really care. Don't care about his community, don't care about his how he's living there.
Look at one of the subdivisions. You know, you can put whatever restrictions you want to put in the subdivision. Yeah, everybody else. Activity would have been something. that-
Maybe
Well,
how many years
Yeah,
ago?
commercial activities. Commercial activities.
Well,
Maybe
think about it, you know, that's been idle for years. It's been idle for a year with a gravel road.
somebody-
It's not Well, you can tell how restricted R1 is just for the sheer numbers of it. And that's what I'm getting at. There may be an overlap just for one of them. Maybe, you know, section. But there it is. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, you all know that we don't like it unless we pay. I really don't have a problem with, you know, just a poor boy goes over and that's a good portion, you know, into that area. You want to protect it. Anyway, that's all folks. Do you have anything else? Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
Crossovers, but if it comes to the board of adjustment, I'll see you later. Thank you. Oh, and just to answer, okay, you were talking about bed and breakfast, and like, about every one of them, Google's short-term rentals, bed and breakfast, they all list the Airbnb in their listings. Just as soon as you pull it up on Google, it comes all together, bed and breakfast, Airbnb, some other one I've never heard of.
VRBO.
Yeah, we are, yeah, I didn't know, couldn't remember that one. They all pop up in the same place. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you ever heard of Evolve? I didn't see management. The manager is Evolve. I looked up the LLC at the Secretary of State's website. And they're out of Louisville.
Yeah, I think John knows who the manager was. Oh,
And the number is a 877. Basically an 818. Anything else?
but the-
Motion to adjourn.
And it's here.